Every day you do something that either moves you forward or holds you back. Have you ever finished a day and realized you didn't get anything done that truly matters? You're not alone. Most people work hard, but they aren't working on the right things. Success doesn't come from luck or waiting for inspiration. It comes from what you choose to do every single day. What if you could take control of your life, focus on the actions that actually make a difference, and build habits that stack up to real results? Imagine waking up tomorrow knowing that today you made progress, no matter how small, and that each step pushes you closer to the life you want. This video is about exactly that, how to build your success day by day using simple, practical steps you can start today. If you're ready to stop drifting and start creating momentum, stay with me because the way you act today decides everything about your tomorrow. Chapter 1. Take charge of today by choosing one honest priority. You know, when I talk to people about building their success day by day, I always return to one simple truth. Your life changes the moment you take charge of your day, not your week, not your month, not your year, just your day. And the way you take charge is by choosing one honest priority. Not 10 things, not a long list of tasks you will never finish. One honest priority that deserves your time, your attention, and your effort. When you wake up in the morning, you face a decision that shapes your entire direction. You can drift into the day without a clear purpose, or you can pause and ask yourself a real and honest question. What is the one thing I need to do today that will move me forward? This question has weight. It forces you to face your life with clarity. It asks you to decide instead of react. It pushes you to choose instead of wander. Most people avoid this question because it feels uncomfortable. Choosing one honest priority means you must face what you have avoided. It means you must stop hiding behind busy activity. It means you must be truthful with yourself, and truth is not always comfortable. But truth is always helpful. When you choose your priority with honesty, you remove the noise, you remove the excuses, you remove the drifting. You give your day direction. The reason so many people feel overwhelmed is simple. They try to do everything and end up doing nothing well. They chase tasks that feel urgent but have no real value. They jump from one distraction to another. They fill their day with movement but no progress. When you live like this, it is easy to feel tired and lost. It is easy to feel like success is far away. But success is not far away. Success is found in the small choices you make today. And the first choice is to decide what matters most. Taking charge of your day begins with a quiet moment. Before you move, before you scroll, before you step into the noise, sit with yourself and think with honesty. Ask yourself what truly matters today. It could be a task you have avoided. It could be a conversation you need to have. It could be a project that will shape your future. It could be something simple but important, something that supports your health, your work, or your relationships. Whatever it is, identify it with clarity. Once you identify your honest priority, you give yourself a target, and when you have a target, everything else suddenly makes more sense. You do not waste your energy on things that do not matter. You do not fill your time with empty activity. You carry your day with direction and intention. You become the leader of your time instead of a follower of distractions. People often ask me why one priority is enough. The answer is simple. Human beings are not built to carry everything at once, but we are built to carry one thing well. When you commit to one honest priority each day, you create a chain of progress that grows stronger with time. You create confidence because you do what you said you would do. You create momentum because you always know your next step. You create discipline because you train your mind to stay on track. And you create personal pride because you honor your own word. When you follow this pattern day after day, something powerful happens. You begin to trust yourself, and trust in yourself is one of the strongest forces you can build. Trust turns effort into progress. Trust turns action into growth. Trust turns self-doubt into self-respect. When you trust yourself, you feel capable, you feel grounded, you feel ready for more. And it all begins with choosing that one honest priority each morning. If you want to take charge of your day, you must also understand the emotional part of this process. Priority means responsibility. Responsibility means ownership. Ownership means courage. When you choose your priority, you cannot blame anyone else for your lack of progress. The moment you choose, you accept the responsibility for completing it. This responsibility can feel heavy at first, but with time it becomes empowering. It feels good to take responsibility for your life. It feels good to know you are in charge. It feels good to know your actions matter. Taking charge of your day also reduces the weight on your mind. When you do not choose your priority, your thoughts run in every direction. You feel scattered. You feel unsure. You feel stressed, because you never know what deserves your attention. But the moment you choose one honest priority, your mind settles. You gain clarity. You feel more in control. You feel more centered. You know exactly what you must do. This peace of mind alone is worth the effort. Now, choosing your priority is only the first step. The next step is giving it your full attention. You cannot take charge of your day by selecting your priority and then ignoring it. You must honor it. You must protect it. You must give it the time and focus it needs. This is where discipline comes in. Discipline is not a punishment. It is a gift you give yourself. It is the steady commitment to follow through. When you practice discipline, you prove to yourself that you are capable of staying true to your word. Every time you follow through on your daily priority, you strengthen a deep part of your character. You strengthen your self-respect. You strengthen your sense of control. You strengthen the belief that you can build the life you want. People often think success is built from big moments, but success is built from daily follow-through. When you complete your priority each day, you create a foundation that supports your entire future. As you go through your day, distractions will appear. Your mind will wander. People will demand your attention. Problems will try to pull you away. This is where you must remind yourself that your priority matters. It deserves your respect. It deserves your full effort. When you stay focused, you sharpen your ability to stay committed. You train your mind to hold steady. You build mental strength, and mental strength is one of the most valuable tools in your life. Taking charge of your day, by choosing one honest priority, also teaches you something important about yourself. It teaches you what you value. It teaches you what you want. It teaches you who you are becoming. When you choose your priority, you are shaping your identity. You are telling yourself what matters. You are deciding what kind of person you want to be. And when you do this consistently, you start living with purpose. Some days your priority will be simple. Some days it will be challenging, but every day it will be meaningful, because every day it will pull you forward. Life is built through direction. Without direction, you drift. With direction, you grow. When you take charge of today, you take charge of your future. At the end of each day, reflect on your effort. Ask yourself if you honored your priority. Ask yourself how it made you feel. You may feel proud. You may feel relieved. You may feel stronger. Or you may feel that you could have done more. All of these feelings are helpful. They guide you. They strengthen your awareness. They prepare you for tomorrow. Tomorrow will come with a new opportunity, a new decision, a new priority. And when that day comes, you will be ready, because you have trained yourself to choose with honesty. You have trained yourself to take charge.
You have trained yourself to grow. Building your success day by day is not about perfection. It is about direction. It is about effort. It is about clarity. It is about choosing what matters today and giving it your full commitment. When you do this, you build a life that feels strong and meaningful. You build a future you can trust. You build a version of yourself that you respect. Success is built in these quiet choices. The choice to take charge. The choice to be honest. The choice to follow through. The choice to grow. And every time you choose one honest priority, you shape a better day. And a better day shapes a better life. Take charge of today. By choosing one honest priority, your future will thank you for it.
Chapter 2. Build steady confidence by doing what you avoid today. You know, confidence is not something that appears out of nowhere. It grows from the choices you make, the actions you take, and the moments when you face the things you normally turn away from. When you want to build steady confidence, the most direct path is simple. You face what you avoid. Not tomorrow, not someday, today. Because the things you avoid do not disappear. They wait. They grow heavier. They follow you through your day and sit quietly in your mind. And every time you ignore them, you lose a little trust in yourself. But every time you deal with them, even if the task is small, you gain strength that stays with you. Think about the things you tend to avoid. They usually hold some kind of discomfort. Maybe it is a conversation you keep postponing. Maybe it is a project you keep pushing to another day. Maybe it is a responsibility that feels frustrating or tiring. Or maybe it is a habit that you know is pulling you down. When you avoid something, you do it for one reason. You think the feeling you will face is too much. Maybe you expect stress. Maybe you fear failing. Maybe you worry about judgment or embarrassment. Humans avoid discomfort in many ways. But here is what people forget. The feeling of avoidance is almost always worse than the task itself. The stress of thinking about something you have not done is heavier than the effort of doing it. When you decide to face what you avoid today, you give yourself a chance to experience something powerful. You give yourself the satisfaction of finishing something you once feared. You give yourself the emotional relief of handling a challenge instead of running from it. You give yourself the mental freedom that comes when you stop carrying unfinished thoughts. And most importantly, you give yourself proof that you can stand in front of something difficult and handle it. Proof that you have more ability than you thought. Proof that you can count on yourself. This proof is where confidence comes from. Confidence is not created from empty promises or positive thoughts alone. Confidence comes from actions that show your inner strength. Confidence grows every time you say, "I will do this," and then you do it. Confidence expands when you see yourself handle things that once intimidated you. You may think the task you avoid is small, but the emotional shift it creates is huge. Because the moment you face it, you break a pattern. You stop letting discomfort guide your choices. You stop letting fear push you away. You make yourself the leader instead of the follower of your fear. When you take on something you normally avoid, you activate a different side of yourself, a side that can deal with pressure, a side that is willing to grow, a side that understands that your life moves forward only when you do. This shift is not loud, but it is powerful. It changes the way you see yourself. It changes the way you talk to yourself. Instead of saying, "I cannot handle this," you begin to see that you are stronger than you believed. Instead of telling yourself, "Maybe later," you begin saying, "I can do this now." These are the small changes that shape your confidence for the long run. You may notice that when you avoid something, the mind becomes restless. It keeps returning to the unfinished task. It repeats the thought again and again. This creates tension.
It creates worry. It creates a feeling of being stuck. But when you finally do what you avoided, the mind relaxes. The worry decreases. Your thoughts become clearer. You feel lighter. There is a moment after you finish something uncomfortable, where you feel a quiet strength inside. That feeling is confidence in its pure form. You created it by facing discomfort instead of running from it. Working on the things you avoid also grows your emotional maturity. It teaches you how to stay calm when something feels uncomfortable. It trains you to handle stress instead of escaping from it. And emotional strength is part of confidence too. A confident person is not someone who avoids all difficulty. A confident person is someone who knows they can handle difficult moments without falling apart. You build that ability one task at a time, one choice at a time, one uncomfortable moment at a time. The process does not demand perfection. It only requires honesty. You know exactly what you avoid. You know what needs your attention. You know the tasks that weigh on you. You do not need a long list. You only need awareness and willingness. Confidence does not grow from trying to change everything at once. It grows from choosing one uncomfortable task and finishing it, then doing the same tomorrow and the next day. Small victories create strong self-belief, and strong self-belief creates a confident life. A major reason people avoid certain tasks is fear of how they will feel during the process. But feelings pass. What remains is the impact of the action. You may feel uncertain before you begin. You may feel tense as you start. You may feel challenged halfway through. But by the time you finish, the discomfort fades and the pride appears. And pride is a strong builder of confidence. You cannot buy pride. You cannot wish for it. You earn it. And you earn it by doing the things you would rather escape. One of the most important parts of building confidence through facing your avoidance is this. You begin to rewrite your personal story. Your story changes from someone who avoids discomfort to someone who deals with discomfort, from someone who hides from responsibility to someone who handles responsibility, from someone who lets fear decide their actions to someone who acts with intention. This shift feels real. It gives you a sense of control. It helps you feel grounded. It builds a sense of stability inside you, and people can feel this in you. When confidence grows, others see it. They feel it in your presence. They hear it in your voice. They notice it in the way you carry yourself. Every time you face something you avoid, you also reduce its power over you. Avoidance gives fear strength. Action takes that strength away. When you take action, the thing that once seemed big becomes smaller. What once felt frightening becomes manageable. What once felt impossible becomes something you can handle again in the future. This frees you from mental pressure. It allows you to move through life with less anxiety. And this emotional freedom itself builds confidence. As you continue this practice, something else happens. You begin to feel more prepared for life. Challenges do not scare you as much because you know you can deal with them. Problems feel less threatening because you trust your ability to think and respond. You start feeling capable in a deeper way. You do not need to pretend. You do not need to act strong. You simply feel strong because your actions have shaped you into someone who deals with reality instead of running from it. Facing what you avoid today also increases your sense of responsibility. It teaches you to own your choices, your actions, and your results. Responsibility builds confidence because it puts you in the driver's seat. When you take responsibility, you stop waiting for someone else to improve your life. You stop hoping things will fix themselves. You stop blaming circumstances. You start shaping your life with your own hand. Each act of responsibility strengthens your confidence, because it shows you that you have influence over your own path. People often think confidence is about feeling good all the time. But confidence is really about being able to act even when you do not feel perfectly ready. It is about stepping forward, even when you feel unsure. It is about trusting that you can grow through the process. Avoiding discomfort robs you of this experience. But acting in the face of discomfort builds it. The moment you choose to handle something you avoid, you send a strong message to yourself. You say, I can deal with pressure. I can handle discomfort. I can move through uncertainty. I can grow through this. These messages strengthen you from the inside out. They build a mindset that can carry you through larger challenges in the future. Facing what you avoid also creates emotional momentum. After you complete one uncomfortable task, you often feel more willing to take on another. You feel motivated. You feel awake. You feel capable. This momentum helps you build a day filled with progress instead of hesitation. And the more days you create like this, the stronger your confidence becomes. As you grow through this process, you will notice your self-talk changing. Instead of doubting yourself, you encourage yourself. Instead of questioning your ability, you support your ability. Instead of fearing what is ahead, you prepare for what is ahead. Your internal world becomes stronger because your actions have proven your strength. Working on what you avoid today also improves your relationship with yourself. You begin to feel more proud of who you are becoming. You feel more aligned with your goals. You feel more connected to your future. Confidence is not only about how you behave around others. It is about how you feel when you are alone with your thoughts. When you face what you avoid, your thoughts become kinder. They become more supportive. They become more trusting. And this creates a deep form of inner peace. Every day gives you an opportunity to face one thing you usually avoid. It could be simple. It could be significant. The size does not matter. What matters is the willingness to confront it. Each time you do, you build another piece of steady confidence. And steady confidence is the kind that lasts. It is not shaky. It is not temporary. It is not based on approval. It is built from your own action. If you want to grow into a stronger version of yourself, start with this simple commitment. Do one thing today that you have been avoiding. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but the strength you gain afterward will stay with you. And day by day, choice by choice, you will become someone who trusts their own ability to rise above discomfort. This is how confidence is built. This is how growth begins. This is how you shape a life that feels strong and meaningful.
Chapter 3. Strengthen your growth by finishing one important task today. Growth does not happen by accident. It does not appear just because you want it. It strengthens when you finish what matters. When you choose one important task and complete it today, you give your life direction and you give your mind proof that you are capable of moving forward. People talk about changing their life, but real change begins when you take one meaningful step and finish it. Not think about it, not plan it, not talk about it. Finish it. Completion carries a different kind of power because it turns intention into progress. When you start your day, you often have many things pulling at your attention. Some tasks feel urgent. Some tasks feel easier than others. Some tasks feel more comfortable, but there is always one task that stands above the rest. One task that has weight. One task that shapes your goals. One task that, if finished today, would help you grow. This task may not be the easiest and it may not be the fastest, but it is the one that matters. And when you choose it and see it through, you strengthen your growth in a way you can feel. Finishing one important task teaches your mind responsibility. Responsibility is the foundation of personal power. It reminds you that your life moves when you move. It shows you that progress is not something you wait for. It is something you create. There is a sense of strength that fills you when you finish something meaningful. It feels like you have taken control of your day instead of letting the day control you. That feeling builds your inner growth more than any amount of wishing or hoping. Every person carries tasks that hold real value. It could be a step in your work. It could be something that improves your health. It could be a task that brings stability to your life. It could be something that supports your long-term dreams. But these important tasks often get pushed aside because they usually require focus, patience, and effort. They do not give quick rewards. They do not create instant excitement, but they create long-lasting progress. And long-lasting progress strengthens you from the inside. When you choose the important task and finish it, you stretch your ability to stay focused. Focus grows when you use it. It does not grow when you avoid the work. And without focus, growth becomes slow and scattered. But the moment you commit to staying on one task until it is done, your mind sharpens. You become more aware. You become more stable. You become more disciplined. Discipline grows through practice, not desire. And finishing one important task today is that practice. The act of completion carries emotional strength too. When you finish something meaningful, you reduce stress. You calm the noise inside your mind. You stop thinking about the task repeatedly. You free yourself from mental clutter. When you have too many unfinished tasks, they create a quiet pressure inside. But when you complete something important, that pressure fades, and you feel lighter. This lightness makes it easier to move into the next day with confidence. Growth also deepens when you learn to prioritize what matters. Many people spend time on things that make them feel busy, but not better. They move through their day with activity but not progress. They do everything except the task that would truly move their life forward. When you train yourself to identify what really matters today, you become more strategic. You stop wasting energy on things that add nothing to your future. You start using your hours wisely. This ability to choose well is a major part of personal growth. When you finish an important task, you also build trust in yourself. Trust grows through action. When you say you will do something and you actually do it, you strengthen your relationship with yourself. You feel more stable. You feel more grounded. You feel more reliable. And this self-trust becomes one of your greatest strengths. People often look outside themselves for motivation, but real motivation appears when you respect your own ability to follow through. Following through on one important task today builds momentum. Momentum is the force that keeps you moving even when the day gets tough. It gives you energy. It gives you the feeling that progress is possible and happening. Without momentum, even small steps feel heavy. With momentum, even big steps feel manageable. And momentum begins with a single completed task. There is also something deeply human about finishing what you start. It gives you a sense of dignity. It gives you a sense of purpose. It reminds you that you can shape your life with consistent action. When you finish something meaningful, you feel more connected to your goals. You feel more aligned with your values. You feel more aware of your potential. That connection is growth. You strengthen your growth even further because completion teaches you patience. Important tasks rarely finish quickly. They demand attention. They require you to control your impulses. They push you to stay steady. This steadiness builds emotional strength. It trains your mind to handle longer periods of discomfort without giving up. When you learn to stay with a task even when you feel distracted or restless, you develop the kind of mental endurance that successful people rely on every day. Another powerful part of this process is clarity. When you finish one important task, you clear space for new ideas, better decisions,
and meaningful actions. You stop carrying the weight of unfinished work. You stop delaying your progress. You stop delaying your progress. You stop dragging yesterday's responsibilities into tomorrow. Completion brings clarity, and clarity helps you grow faster because you can see what needs your attention next. Finishing important tasks also shapes your identity. You become someone who does what needs to be done, someone who respects their own goals, someone who does not hide from responsibility. Over time, this identity becomes stronger and clearer, and identity shapes behavior. When you see yourself as someone who finishes what matters, you continue to act like that person. Growth becomes natural because it is part of who you are becoming. Growth does not always feel exciting in the moment, but it feels meaningful when you look back at what you have accomplished. When you finish one important task today, you add another piece to your foundation. You build your life piece by piece. Each finished task becomes proof that you are progressing, and these pieces add up. They create direction. They create confidence. They create stability. They create opportunity. One of the strongest benefits of completing important tasks is the reduction of regret. Regret forms when you know what you should have done but did not do. But when you finish what matters, you remove regret before it grows. You avoid the emotional weight of procrastination. You avoid the feeling of being behind. You avoid the feeling that your life is slipping away from you. Completion protects you from regret and replaces it with satisfaction. The best part about finishing one important task today is that it keeps your goals alive. Dreams fade when you do nothing, but they grow when you take meaningful steps. When you finish something important, you keep your goals active. You keep your hope alive. You keep your future open. You keep your belief strong. And day by day, these steps turn your goals into reality. Your growth strengthens every time you choose the important over the easy, the uncomfortable over the convenient, the meaningful over the distracting. That choice shapes your future, and that choice begins today. You do not need to finish everything. You only need to finish one thing that matters. That one thing has the power to change your direction. It has the power to shift your mindset. It has the power to increase your confidence. And it has the power to build steady growth. You do not have to wait for the perfect moment. The perfect moment is today. The important task is in front of you, and the power to finish it is already within you. When you commit to completing it, you show yourself that you are capable of progress right now, and this belief becomes part of you. It becomes the voice inside you that says you can handle more, you can grow more, you can become more. Every time you choose to finish one important task, you shape your character into someone stronger and more sure of themselves. You build a life based on action instead of delay. You become more stable, more focused, and more confident, and that is how growth strengthens, not by doing everything, not by overwhelming yourself, but by completing one meaningful task today, and then doing it again tomorrow, step by step, choice by choice, completion by completion. This is how you grow into the person you want to become.
Chapter 4. Guide your day by acting on what matters most. Each day begins with a quiet moment where you decide what direction your life will take. When you guide your day by acting on what matters most, you give yourself a chance to grow instead of drift. Most people don't lack ambition, they lack order. They wake up with good intentions, but the noise of the day steals their time, and by evening they wonder where the hours went. Acting on what matters most is a decision you make before the world distracts you, and it's a decision that shapes your entire future. The first thing to understand is that your mind needs clarity, not pressure. When you wake up already trying to juggle everything, you drain your energy before the day truly begins. But when you slow down for a moment and ask yourself what actually deserves your attention, you give your mind direction. You give your actions purpose. You give your day structure. Most people try to get everything done at once, and that's why they get nothing meaningful done at all. But when you choose what truly matters and act on it with intention, you create progress instead of chaos. Think about the days when you felt proud of yourself. They probably weren't the days filled with endless, rushed activity. They were the days when you focused on something important and completed it with full attention. Acting on what matters most feels different. It feels grounded. It feels like you're building something instead of reacting to everything around you. And every time you do it, you strengthen the habit of living with purpose rather than pressure. One reason many people avoid acting on what matters most is because the important things often require more effort, more honesty, and more discipline than the easy tasks. It's comfortable to keep yourself busy with small things. Small things don't challenge you. Small things don't force you to think. But small things also don't move your life forward. And after a while, you feel the weight of knowing that you're avoiding what could change your life. You feel the stress of unfinished decisions. You feel the nagging sense that you're falling behind on your own goals. That's the emotional cost of avoiding what matters. But when you act on the important things first, you gain momentum you can feel in your body. There's a calm that comes when you do something meaningful early in the day. There's a confidence that grows when you prove to yourself that you're not controlled by hesitation. You feel lighter, clearer, and more capable because you're not dragging around the guilt of undone tasks. And that feeling carries you through the rest of your day with strength instead of stress. Another thing to remember is that your life becomes easier when your priorities are honest. Not everything deserves your attention. Not everything is urgent. Not everything is worthy of your energy. When you act on what matters most, you learn to say no to the things that pull you away from your growth. You learn to protect your time instead of giving it away carelessly. You learn to value your focus because you understand that your focus is what shapes your result. Acting on what matters most is not just about productivity. It's about self-respect. It's about treating your time as something valuable instead of something you let slip through your fingers. And you don't have to do anything dramatic to get this right. All you need is to identify one meaningful action that deserves your attention today. Then give it your best effort. One honest action can change your entire mood. One completed task can shift your confidence. One responsible decision can influence everything else you do. People assume they need a huge breakthrough, but most breakthroughs are built from consistent decisions made on ordinary days. When you act on what matters most, you teach yourself that your life is worth organizing, your goals are worth protecting, and your time is worth respecting. You stop living on autopilot. You stop drifting from one distraction to another. You start leading yourself, and the more you do this, the more natural it becomes. You begin to feel when you're slipping into old habits. You notice when you're starting to avoid something important. You become aware of how you spend your time, and that awareness gives you control. Some people wait for motivation before acting on important things, but motivation is never guaranteed. What you can rely on is the power of a clear choice. When you choose what matters most and act on it, even if you don't feel ready, you discover that action creates motivation. Action builds desire. Action strengthens commitment. You don't need to feel inspired before you start. You create inspiration through movement. There will always be days when you feel overwhelmed, days when life feels heavy, days when your goals feel too far away. But even on those days, acting on one important thing can pull you out of that heaviness. It reminds you that you're capable. It reminds you that you have power. It reminds you that you're not stuck. The feeling of progress is one of the strongest emotional boosts a person can experience, and you create that feeling by taking responsibility for at least one meaningful task.
You also save yourself from regret when you act on what matters most. Regret doesn't come from failure. It comes from avoidance. It comes from knowing you could have done something but didn't. Regret grows in the space where action is missing. And the only way to shrink that space is by choosing something that matters and taking control of it today. Your future self is shaped by what you choose to do right now, not someday. Someday is a place where people store their excuses. Today is where people change their lives. When you make this a daily practice, your life begins to feel organized from the inside. You stop feeling scattered. You stop feeling behind. You stop feeling overwhelmed by unfinished responsibilities. You start feeling steady. You start feeling capable. You start feeling proud of how you move through your day. Acting on what matters most builds a type of strength that stays with you, not just in your tasks but in your character. People around you feel the shift. You speak clearer. You make decisions faster. You move with a sense of direction instead of confusion. You become someone others trust because you live with consistency. There is something powerful about finishing an important task before excuses have a chance to grow. It teaches your mind who is in charge. It teaches your emotions who lead. You stop waiting for the perfect moment because you realize the perfect moment is the one where you take action. Every day gives you an opportunity to guide your life with purpose. And every day you choose what matters most. You strengthen your discipline, your habits, and your self-belief. In the end, acting on what matters most isn't about being busy. It's about being deliberate. It's about choosing a life you can be proud of. It's about living in a way that brings meaning instead of frustration. Anyone can fill a day with activity, but not everyone can fill it with progress. Progress belongs to the people who wake up and choose responsibility over distraction, purpose over noise, and growth over avoidance. When you look back months from now, you won't remember every small task you did, but you will remember the important choices you made. You will remember the days when you acted with intention. You will remember the times when you took charge of your life instead of waiting for things to change on their own. That's how success is built, day by day, choice by choice, action by action. Your day is in your hands right now. Your time is yours to guide. Your future is shaped by how you choose to spend your energy today. So choose something meaningful. Give it your focus. Give it your effort. Give it your commitment. And let that choice pull you forward into a life shaped by direction instead of distraction.
Chapter 5. Train your mind by staying consistent with simple actions. Every person who wants to grow eventually learns that the mind is not trained through pressure, force, or complicated routines. The mind grows through steady, simple actions repeated with honesty. When you stay consistent with small steps, you teach your mind discipline in a way that feels natural instead of overwhelming. Most people try to change their lives overnight, and when they fail to keep up with the pressure, they tell themselves they're not capable. But the truth is that the human mind responds far better to simple actions performed regularly than to extreme efforts performed once in a while. Consistency with simple actions builds a type of strength that doesn't fade. It teaches your thoughts to follow direction instead of chaos. It gives you steady progress instead of sudden excitement followed by disappointment. When you choose small actions you can manage every day, you begin to feel a shift inside you. You feel more in control. You feel less scattered. You feel more grounded. You start to trust yourself because you're actually keeping the promises you make to yourself. Your mind pays attention to what you do repeatedly. If you give it disorder, it will produce confusion. If you give it discipline, it will produce clarity. And the easiest way to give it discipline is through simple actions you perform every single day. These actions don't need to impress anyone. They don't need to look dramatic. They just need to reinforce the message that you are someone who follows through. Many people underestimate the power of small daily actions because they believe real change must look big or spectacular. They think growth should feel intense, like a movie moment. But real mental strength is built quiet. It grows in the moments when you choose a responsible action, even when no one is watching. It grows in the minutes you dedicate to something meaningful, even when you don't feel motivated. It grows in the repetition of simple habits that shape the way you think. When you train your mind with simple actions, you give it stability. You give it structure. You create a sense of rhythm that keeps you moving in the right direction without burning yourself out. Think about the small actions that matter to you. Maybe reading a few pages, writing down your priorities, practicing something important for a short period of time, or taking a few quiet minutes to reflect on your direction. When you do these things every day, they stop feeling like chores. They become part of who you are. They become part of your identity. And identity is powerful. When you identify as someone who stays consistent, your decisions begin to match that identity. You start choosing what keeps you steady rather than what gives you quick pleasure. You start valuing progress instead of convenience. You stop chasing shortcuts because you understand that your daily actions already create the foundation you need. Another benefit of simple, consistent actions is that they reduce mental resistance. One of the biggest reasons people fail to move forward is that they set expectations so high that their own mind pushes back. The task feels too big, the effort feels too heavy, and the mind responds with hesitation. But when the actions are simple, the resistance is almost non-existent. The mind doesn't fight small steps. It accepts them. And once you begin, momentum develops naturally. There's a calm that comes from small, consistent actions. You don't feel overwhelmed. You don't feel rushed. You don't feel pressured to change your entire life at once. You simply feel engaged in what you're doing. You feel present. You feel connected to your goals in a way that's realistic and sustainable. Growth becomes something you participate in every day, instead of something you chase when you feel inspired. Training the mind this way also sharpens your focus. When you stick to small actions, you learn to narrow your attention instead of scattering it. You strengthen your ability to stay with one task instead of jumping from thought to thought. This is important because your mind becomes stronger when it learns to hold steady on something. The ability to stay focused is not natural for most people. It is trained, and the training happens through repetition. Simple actions repeated daily help you notice your own pattern. You begin to recognize the moments when your mind wants to drift, the moments when you start avoiding meaningful work, the moments when your emotions try to distract you. When you notice these things, you gain control over them. You stop acting on impulse. You start acting with intention. You start understanding how your mind behaves under pressure, under stress, under boredom. And that awareness gives you the power to direct yourself. There will be days when you feel tired, days when your mood is off, days when you don't want to participate in anything that requires effort. But this is where simple actions become incredibly valuable. Even if you don't have the energy for something big, you can still manage something small, and by doing that small thing, you protect your routine. You protect your routine. You protect the identity you're building. You show yourself that you don't abandon your direction just because the day is difficult. Consistency also teaches patience. Many people lose faith in themselves because they expect results too quickly. They want immediate proof. They want fast transformation. But growth rarely works that way. Growth is quiet. It is subtle. It happens in the background while you repeat small actions day after day. And then one day, you notice that your thinking is sharper, your choice is wiser, your discipline stronger. You realize that the small steps you were repeating actually built something powerful inside you. But you can only get to that moment if you stay with the process long enough.
Another thing to understand is that simple actions create a sense of balance in your life. When you focus only on big goals, you feel overwhelmed. But when you break things down into small, steady pieces, you create a manageable path. You make progress without stressing yourself out. You stay consistent without burning out. You move forward without constantly fighting your own mind. This approach also helps you recover faster when you fall off track. Everyone loses rhythm sometimes. Everyone has days or even weeks where life becomes chaotic. But when your habits are simple, it's much easier to restart. You don't feel discouraged. You don't feel like you've ruined everything. You simply begin again with small steps. And soon the routine feels natural again. Your mind becomes stronger when it knows that you will always return to the actions that matter. That reliability gives you emotional stability. It gives you confidence. It gives you a sense of inner order that grows stronger the more you repeat it. The real power of consistency with simple actions is not just what you achieve, it's who you become. You become someone who does not depend on motivation. You become someone who does not collapse under pressure. You become someone who respects your own time. You become someone whose actions match your goals. You become someone who doesn't quit when life gets tough. You become someone who trains their mind every single day, quietly, steadily, without making excuses. And that version of you is capable of more than you realize. A steady mind makes better decisions. A steady mind stays calm under stress. A steady mind doesn't chase distractions. A steady mind grows through repetition, not intensity. Every simple action you complete is like a message you send to yourself, telling yourself that you can be trusted, that you can follow through, that you can depend on your own character. That message becomes stronger with each repetition. When you stay consistent with simple actions, you build the kind of inner strength that people can feel. You walk differently. You speak with more certainty. You carry yourself with quiet confidence. You know you're improving because you feel the stability those actions bring. Your mind becomes your partner, not your enemy. It supports you instead of sabotaging you. It listens to you instead of resisting you. It follows your direction instead of pulling you away from your goals. That's the result of simple, honest, daily action. They might look small from the outside, but inside they create a foundation strong enough to support the life you want. Your growth begins with what you do today, and what you do today becomes easier when the action is simple and repeated with honesty. Stay consistent. Stay steady. Stay committed to the small steps that build the stronger version of you. Every simple action is shaping you. Every repetition is strengthening you. And each day, you continue. Your mind becomes more disciplined, more focused, and more prepared for the life you want to build.
Chapter 6. Grow your life by adding one useful habit daily. Every life grows when deliberate choices are made consistently. One of the most effective ways to strengthen your life is by adding one useful habit daily. Not 10 habits at once. Not a massive overhaul. Just one habit that benefits you, supports your goals, and improves your well-being. Most people overlook the impact of small, consistent actions because they want immediate results. They believe transformation must be dramatic. But true growth happens quietly, day by day, habit by habit, until the cumulative effect becomes undeniable. When you decide to add a useful habit, it changes more than your daily routine. It changes how you see yourself. It changes how you approach your time. It changes how you respond to challenges. Habits are the building blocks of identity. When you consistently perform a positive action, you are effectively telling yourself who you are. You are defining the person you want to become. Every habit becomes a reflection of your priorities and your vision for your life. The key is usefulness. Not every habit contributes to growth. Some habits are distractions disguised as productivity. Some are easy, enjoyable or convenient, but they don't add real value. A useful habit is one that directly improves your skill, mindset, health, productivity, or relationships. It's a habit that moves you toward your goals even slightly. Over time, these small additions compound into significant results. Starting with one habit keeps the process manageable. Life is already full of responsibilities, decisions, and distractions. Trying to implement multiple new habits at once often leads to failure and frustration. One habit allows you to focus. One habit allows you to monitor your progress. One habit allows you to succeed and build confidence in your ability to change. Success with a single habit sets the stage for adding another, and then another, creating a chain reaction of improvement. Consistency is the secret. Adding a useful habit once is a start, but repeating it daily is what creates growth. Repetition trains your brain, your discipline, and your routines. It reduces resistance. It becomes automatic over time. The mind and body begin to expect this action as part of your day. When you consistently follow through, you no longer have to rely solely on motivation. Motivation fluctuates, but consistent habits carry you forward regardless of how you feel. Choosing the right habit also involves awareness of your goal. Ask yourself, what small action today will make tomorrow better? The answer is your habit. It could be reading a chapter of a book, exercising for 10 minutes, writing down priorities, or connecting with someone important. The specific habit matters less than its usefulness and its consistency. The purpose is to add something meaningful to your life every day. Adding a habit also builds momentum. One completed habit leads to another. Each day you succeed, you prove to yourself that growth is possible. That proof strengthens your confidence and motivates further action. Momentum is emotional as well as practical. It builds a sense of achievement, stability, and self-trust. The feeling of accomplishment may be small at first, but it grows with each repetition. Another aspect to consider is patience. Many people abandon habits too quickly because they expect immediate transformation. Growth is cumulative. A habit may feel insignificant in isolation, but its effect over weeks and months is profound. The power of habits lies in their compounding effect. Small positive actions repeated consistently create outcomes far beyond what seems possible at the moment of starting. The emotional benefits of adding one useful habit daily are as important as the practical ones. Each completed habit fosters a sense of pride. Each repetition strengthens your belief in your capabilities. Over time, you develop a mindset of growth. You no longer wait for the perfect conditions to improve. You actively create improvement through simple, deliberate actions. This mindset shift alone transforms your life. Adding habits also reduces mental clutter. When you know exactly what action to take each day to grow, you minimize decision fatigue. You eliminate the energy spent wondering what to do next. You remove the hesitation that slows progress. Each habit becomes a reliable anchor in your routine, giving your mind stability and freeing it to focus on other priorities. Choosing useful habits also shapes your character. Habits teach persistence, discipline, and responsibility. By committing to a daily action, you demonstrate to yourself that you can keep promises to yourself. Character is built in small steps, not grand gestures. Each habit reinforces the values you want to live by and creates alignment between your intentions and your behavior. You also gain resilience. Habits teach you to keep moving forward even when conditions are not ideal. Life is unpredictable. Motivation fades, circumstances fluctuate, but a habit repeated daily builds strength that carries you through challenges. The habit becomes a foundation you can rely on, a source of consistency amidst uncertainty. Another important aspect is flexibility. While habits require consistency, they can also be adapted to fit changing circumstances. The goal is not rigidity but steady improvement. You can adjust the timing, duration or method of a habit without abandoning it. The focus remains on growth, not perfection. This adaptability strengthens both your habits and your mindset, teaching you to persist even when life changes unexpectedly. Adding habits also builds foresight. Each new habit contributes to your long-term goals, even if the immediate effect is small. You begin to recognize the connection between your daily actions and your future self. You see how small improvements accumulate and start planning your days around consistent growth, rather than temporary pleasure. This awareness shifts your approach to life from reactive to proactive. Habits also reinforce your priority. Each day you choose an action that matters. You confirm what is important. You clarify your values through repeated action. This clarity prevents you from wasting time on unimportant tasks. It ensures that your daily efforts are meaningful and aligned with your bigger vision. Over time, this alignment reduces stress, strengthens focus, and increases satisfaction with life. A single useful habit can influence multiple areas of your life. For example, a habit of journaling each morning improves clarity, decision-making, and emotional awareness. A habit of physical movement enhances health, energy, and focus. A habit of reading expands knowledge and creativity. One daily habit can have ripple effects that touch your work, relationships, and mindset, multiplying its impact far beyond its initial scope. Adding one useful habit daily also strengthens your ability to set boundaries. You begin to recognize what actions serve your growth and what distract from it. You learn to protect your time, focus, and energy from unnecessary interference. This boundary setting is a form of self-respect that reinforces the value of the habit itself, creating a positive feedback loop of growth and self-discipline. The consistency of habits fosters self-reliance. You learn that improvement depends on your actions, not on luck, motivation, or external approval. This self-reliance builds confidence and reduces dependency on external validation. You take ownership of your growth and understand that your future is in your hands, shaped by the small, deliberate actions you choose every day. Adding useful habits also encourages reflection. As you repeat a habit daily, you notice changes in your skills, mindset, and productivity. You begin to measure progress and adjust where necessary. This reflection strengthens your self-awareness and helps you refine your actions, creating a cycle of continuous improvement that reinforces growth and personal development. Over time, the practice of adding one useful habit daily creates a sense of accomplishment that transforms your mindset. You no longer see life as a series of missed opportunities or unfinished tasks. You see a trajectory of consistent progress. You see yourself moving closer to your goals, step by step. You see the tangible evidence of growth in your skills, routines, and mindset. The key to sustaining this approach is simplicity. Complex routines are hard to maintain. Multiple habits at once create confusion and overwhelm. Simple habits are easy to repeat. Simple habits fit into your day. Simple habits reduce mental resistance and ensure long-term adherence. Simplicity allows you to focus on the value of the habit rather than the difficulty of managing it. Consistency with useful habits strengthens mental toughness. You develop the discipline to act even when you do not feel motivated. You cultivate patience to continue even when results are slow. You enhance focus to stick with your goals despite distractions. And you reinforce resilience to keep going even when life challenges you. These qualities are crucial for long-term growth and success. The compounding effect of daily habits is profound. One habit may seem insignificant today, but repeated over weeks, months, and years, it shapes your life in meaningful ways. Health improves, skills develop, relationships strengthen, productivity increases, and mindset evolves. Growth accumulates quietly but powerfully through this process.
Adding one useful habit daily also encourages gratitude. Each completed habit is proof of your ability to act, improve, and take control. This acknowledgement strengthens your emotional well-being, creating positivity and reinforcing the habit loop. You begin to appreciate your own effort and recognize the small victories that build a strong foundation for success. The daily addition of useful habits teaches persistence. Life will not always go smoothly, but each habit shows you that continued effort produces results. Even when challenges arise, the routine of completing a habit gives you a sense of continuity and stability. Persistence develops a mindset that refuses to give up, a mindset that values progress over perfection. Finally, adding one useful habit every day transforms your life into a series of intentional actions rather than random activity. You become someone who acts with purpose, focuses on what matters, and grows steadily over time. This approach turns ordinary days into opportunities for personal development, ensuring that your life continually moves toward greater achievement, fulfillment, and resilience. By committing to this practice, you are shaping the person you want to become. Each habit is a building block, each repetition strengthens your character, and each day creates cumulative progress. Growth is the sum of these deliberate choices. Your future is built in small, meaningful steps taken consistently. By adding one useful habit daily, you grow steadily, confidently, and intentionally into the life you desire.
Chapter 7. Improve your direction by correcting small mistakes each day. Every day gives you the opportunity to adjust your life in small ways. Growth does not always come from dramatic shifts or grand gestures. More often, it comes from noticing the small mistakes in your actions and correcting them consistently. Life moves fast, and small errors can accumulate quietly if left unchecked. They pull you off course. They create frustration. They slow your progress. But when you take the time each day to recognize these errors and make adjustments, you regain control over your direction and strengthen your ability to move toward your goals with precision. Correcting small mistakes begins with awareness. You must see the areas where your actions did not align with your intentions. Perhaps you reacted in frustration when patience was needed. Perhaps you allowed distractions to steal your focus. Perhaps you skipped an important step in a process. These small lapses do not define you, but they shape your outcomes if ignored. By noticing them, you reclaim the power to influence your trajectory. The key is consistency. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to rewrite your entire day. You only need to correct what is within your control and do it repeatedly. Each correction is like a course adjustment on a long journey. You may not notice the shift immediately, but over time the cumulative effect steers your life steadily in the right direction. Small corrections also build self-awareness. When you take the time to notice errors in your behavior or approach, you learn more about yourself. You see your patterns, your triggers, and your blind spots. You begin to understand why certain mistakes keep recurring. This awareness is powerful because it gives you the chance to change your habits and choices before they create bigger problems. Correction is not punishment, it is learning. It is growth. When you correct a small mistake today, you are not criticizing yourself. You are training yourself. You are strengthening your judgment. You are increasing your capacity to make better decisions in the future. People who avoid their errors because of fear or embarrassment lose the opportunity to grow. Those who face them gain clarity, confidence, and competence. This process also teaches humility. You recognize that you are not perfect, that improvement is always possible, and that life is a series of adjustments rather than final outcomes. Humility keeps you open to learning. It prevents arrogance. It allows you to respond to challenges with intelligence instead of ego. Correcting small mistakes reminds you that growth is a journey, not a destination. Another important aspect is focus. When you concentrate on small, correctable mistakes, rather than overwhelming yourself with everything that could be wrong, you prevent paralysis. You prevent stress and discouragement. You target the changes that have the most impact. This makes improvement practical and actionable. Every day you take one small correction seriously, your direction becomes clearer and your momentum grows. Correcting small mistakes also strengthens accountability. You take responsibility for your actions, your choices, and your result. You stop blaming circumstances or others for outcomes that could have been influenced by your own behavior. This accountability is empowering. It builds confidence. It teaches you that your actions have consequences and that you are capable of influencing your life through deliberate correction. One of the most subtle benefits of this practice is the cumulative effect. Small errors left uncorrected may seem insignificant, but over time they shift your results away from your goals. On the other hand, small corrections, repeated daily, have a compounding effect. They steer you back on course, refine your decisions, and gradually eliminate patterns that do not serve your growth. What feels like a minor adjustment today can lead to significant progress tomorrow. Emotional strength develops through this process. Facing your mistakes requires honesty with yourself. It requires patience with your own imperfections. It requires self-control to act on what you know needs to change. Each time you correct a mistake, you reinforce your resilience. You prove to yourself that you can handle discomfort and take responsible action, and that builds mental toughness that carries into every area of life. Correcting small mistakes daily also improves your judgment. You start recognizing the early signs of potential errors before they happen. You anticipate challenges and take preventative action. Your decision-making becomes sharper. Your actions become more intentional. You begin to operate with foresight rather than reaction, which dramatically increases the effectiveness of your effort. This practice creates a feedback loop of growth. Mistakes provide information. Correction provides improvement. Over time, your capacity to learn from experience accelerates. You make fewer repeated errors. You refine your strategies. You become more adaptable and flexible. Your life becomes a continuous process of improvement, where each day builds on the lessons of the previous day. Consistency is essential. One day of correction is helpful, but habitual correction is transformative. When you commit to reviewing your actions and making adjustments every day, you create a standard of personal excellence. You develop a mindset where mistakes are not feared, but valued for the lessons they provide. This approach eliminates regret because you respond proactively instead of passively letting errors accumulate. Small daily corrections also enhance efficiency. You avoid wasting time repeating ineffective approaches. You conserve energy by addressing issues early. You streamline your habits and processes. The more you refine your actions, the more smoothly your days flow. You reduce friction in your work, your decisions, and your relationships. Over time, your life feels lighter and more directed because errors no longer pull you off course. This approach also strengthens confidence. People often fear mistakes because they worry about failure or judgment. But when you commit to correcting small errors consistently, you learn that mistakes are manageable. You learn that each correction brings progress. You learn that your direction is in your hands. This self-reliance builds deep confidence because you know you can handle challenges without losing momentum. Correcting small mistakes daily also improves relationships. Many conflicts arise from overlooked errors in communication, understanding, or behavior. When you notice and correct your small missteps, you strengthen trust with others. People notice your reliability and your willingness to take responsibility. Relationships improve because you demonstrate accountability and growth consistently,
rather than sporadically. Patience is another outcome of this practice. Some errors require time and repeated effort to correct fully. You learn that growth is not instant. You learn to persist through frustration. You develop the ability to maintain focus on long-term improvement instead of seeking immediate results. This patience is a skill that benefits every area of life. A commitment to small corrections builds perspective. You see that perfection is not the goal. Progress is. You recognize that life is a series of learning opportunities and that each day provides chances to steer your path closer to your goal. This perspective reduces stress and increases clarity because you understand that minor setbacks are temporary and correctable. Correction also reinforces discipline. It requires the will to act instead of ignore. It requires courage to confront personal shortcomings. It strengthens self-control because you act deliberately rather than react impulsively. The more you practice daily correction, the more disciplined you become, and discipline is one of the most reliable predictors of long-term success. Embracing this practice also enhances adaptability. Life is unpredictable. Circumstances change. Mistakes are inevitable. When you cultivate the habit of daily correction, you become more flexible and responsive. You adjust to new information, modify strategies, and navigate obstacles with skill. This adaptability ensures that your direction remains aligned with your goals, even when challenges arise. Correcting small mistakes every day develops a mindset of continuous improvement. You no longer settle for mediocrity. You no longer accept inefficiency or carelessness. You become someone who notices gaps, takes action, and gradually elevates every aspect of life. This mindset transforms ordinary routines into opportunities for growth. The emotional benefits of daily correction are profound. You experience less frustration, fewer regrets, and greater satisfaction. You notice yourself moving closer to your goals consistently. You gain a sense of mastery over your life, because you are actively influencing the outcomes rather than passively experiencing them. This emotional stability reinforces every other effort you make. Daily correction also teaches discernment. You learn to identify which errors matter most and which are minor. You prioritize effectively. You invest your energy where it produces the greatest return. This skill ensures that your improvements are strategic rather than scattered, giving your life more clarity and focus. Finally, the habit of correcting small mistakes daily ensures that your life moves in a purposeful direction. You are no longer at the mercy of random events or habitual errors. You take control of your growth, your actions, and your results. Every small correction shapes your path. Every adjustment builds your skill, your character, and your focus. Every day of consistent correction moves you closer to the life you want, one deliberate action at a time. By committing to this approach, you cultivate a life defined by intentional progress, not accidental outcomes. Each day offers the chance to refine, adjust, and improve. Each correction strengthens your character, your decision-making, and your momentum. Over time, these small, deliberate actions accumulate into significant lasting growth that shapes both your direction and your destiny.
Chapter 8. Lift your motivation by proving you can improve today. Every day you wake up, you have a choice. You can let the day pass without action, or you can take steps that prove to yourself that improvement is possible. Motivation is not something that exists in isolation. It is built through proof. When you act and see results, even small ones, you reinforce the belief that you can grow. Most people wait for motivation to appear before taking action. But the truth is that motivation follows action, not the other way around. The moment you demonstrate to yourself that you can improve today, you ignite a sense of energy and confidence that fuels further progress. Improvement does not require monumental effort. It begins with small, deliberate steps that are within your control. Completing a task you have been putting off, learning something new, or correcting one small mistake are all ways to show yourself that growth is happening. Each proof you give yourself strengthens the foundation of your self-belief. It is the daily demonstration of capability that lifts motivation higher than any pep talk or inspirational quote ever could. One of the most powerful aspects of proving your ability to improve is that it replaces doubt with evidence. Doubt erodes confidence because it convinces you that change is unlikely. Action removes doubt because it provides tangible results. When you actively improve, you create evidence that change is possible. You see progress, you feel the difference, you experience the result of your effort firsthand. And that experience fuels further motivation. Taking responsibility for your growth is central to this process. You cannot wait for external circumstances to make you better. Improvement is personal. It is intentional. Each time you commit to a small action that moves you forward, you reinforce the principle that you are in control of your development. Motivation grows naturally when you recognize that you are not a passive participant in your life, but an active agent of change. The mind is wired to respond to evidence. Words alone do not convince your brain. Goals written on a page do not inspire movement unless supported by action. Every time you prove to yourself that you can improve today, you provide your mind with concrete proof that progress is possible. This proof strengthens neural pathways associated with success, focus, and resilience. You are literally training your mind to expect growth, and that expectation creates energy that propels you forward. Improvement is also deeply emotional. When you accomplish something meaningful, your body and mind respond with satisfaction and a sense of achievement. You feel lighter, more capable, and more energized. This emotional feedback reinforces your motivation. Every positive action builds a loop of reinforcement that makes the next step easier. You are no longer waiting for external motivation because your own experience becomes the driving force. It is important to recognize that improvement does not always mean perfection. Small gains matter, minor adjustments matter. The act of demonstrating progress is far more impactful than achieving flawless outcomes. Every time you take a step forward, no matter how small, you prove to yourself that growth is attainable. The cumulative effect of these small proofs is what elevates motivation to a consistent, reliable state. Consistency is key. One isolated act of improvement can inspire temporary energy, but repeated actions create lasting motivation. By proving to yourself every day that improvement is possible, you develop a pattern of self-reliance and progress. Each day becomes an opportunity to reinforce your confidence, your discipline, and your belief in your ability to grow. Motivation thrives in this environment of consistent proof rather than in sporadic bursts of effort. Proving that you can improve also strengthens your sense of control over life. Many people feel helpless because they measure progress by external outcomes rather than their own action. By focusing on what you can change today, you reclaim authority over your growth. You learn that even in challenging circumstances, improvement is possible because it begins with what you do, not with what happens around you. This sense of control fuels determination and further enhances motivation. Every improvement you make serves as a reference point for the next step. When you see that a change is achievable, your brain recalibrates what is possible. You start aiming higher because your experience demonstrates that progress is within reach. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle where proof generates motivation, and motivation encourages further improvement. Each day becomes an opportunity to continue building this momentum. The process of daily improvement also cultivates patience. Change rarely happens overnight. Motivation can fade when results are not immediate, but when you focus on the evidence you create through consistent actions, you learn to trust the process. Patience is strengthened as you recognize that every small step contributes to a larger trajectory. You learn to value progress over perfection, and this mindset maintains motivation even during periods when results are slow to appear. Improvement today is most impactful when it is intentional. Random actions or haphazard effort may create activity but not motivation. When you deliberately choose an action that moves you closer to your goals, you are giving yourself a clear message that you are capable of growth. This clarity builds focus, reduces mental clutter, and reinforces the sense of purpose that is necessary for sustained motivation. One of the greatest advantages of proving your ability to improve is that it breaks the cycle of procrastination. Waiting for the right moment to take action undermines confidence and diminishes energy. By acting now, even in small ways, you show yourself that delay is unnecessary. You create momentum and a sense of achievement that carries over into the next, reducing resistance and increasing overall productivity. Improvement is also contagious. Once you see yourself achieving something meaningful today, the energy spreads into other areas of your life. You become more engaged in relationships, more disciplined in routines, and more committed to long-term goals. Your actions demonstrate capability, and that demonstration amplifies motivation in ways that words or planning alone cannot. Each success, however small, creates a ripple effect that influences your mindset, your habits, and your energy. Emotional resilience grows through this process. When you experience the positive reinforcement of small improvements, you develop confidence in your ability to face challenges. You see obstacles as temporary setbacks rather than permanent barriers. You become more adaptable and resourceful because you trust your capacity to adjust and grow. This sense of self-reliance strengthens motivation because you know that your effort can change outcomes even when circumstances are difficult. Proving that you can improve today also encourages a forward-looking mindset. You begin to see each day as an opportunity to build on previous progress. You measure success by the actions you take rather than by comparison to others or by external recognition. This internal focus maintains motivation because it is rooted in personal growth rather than external validation, which can be fleeting and unreliable. Another benefit of demonstrating improvement is that it creates accountability. By taking deliberate action, you establish a standard for yourself. You know what you are capable of, and you are less likely to accept excuses. Accountability strengthens discipline and reinforces the sense of agency necessary for sustained motivation. Each completed action confirms that you can trust yourself to follow through. Daily proof of improvement also builds courage. Many people fear failure, rejection, or criticism. By acting intentionally and seeing even small gains, you learn to take risks and face discomfort with confidence. Each successful step reassures you that growth is achievable, which encourages bolder actions and reinforces motivation to continue advancing. Motivation is lifted most effectively when you combine action with reflection. Taking time to acknowledge what you accomplished today and the progress you made ensures that your effort is recognized. Reflection transforms ordinary actions into meaningful proof, amplifying the sense of achievement. It solidifies the connection between effort and growth, creating an ongoing cycle of motivation that is reinforced daily. The practice of proving improvement is transformative because it integrates mindset and action. You stop relying on abstract ideas of potential and instead focus on tangible evidence that you are capable of change. Your confidence grows, your energy increases, and your desire to continue improving strengthens. Motivation is no longer something you chase. It becomes a byproduct of your consistent, deliberate actions. Improvement also builds discipline over time. Every action you take today reinforces your ability to follow through tomorrow. Motivation is strengthened not only by immediate results, but by the confidence that comes from repeated success.
Discipline ensures that even on difficult days, you continue to act and demonstrate your ability to improve, which keeps motivation alive regardless of circumstances. Your perspective shifts as you repeatedly prove your capacity for growth. You begin to see challenges as opportunities to demonstrate improvement. You approach tasks with intentionality and confidence. You measure progress by your actions rather than external validation. This internal locus of control strengthens resilience and motivation because you trust that your effort produces results. Finally, proving that you can improve today transforms your life into a series of intentional actions rather than passive experience. Every small success creates momentum, builds confidence, and amplifies energy. Motivation is no longer dependent on external factors, but becomes an intrinsic response to your deliberate choices. Each day you take responsibility for your improvement, you reinforce your ability to grow, and move steadily toward the life you desire. By committing to action today, you lift your motivation, strengthen your discipline, and create a consistent habit of progress. Every effort, no matter how small, is proof that you are capable of becoming better. This evidence fuels energy, reinforces belief in yourself, and builds the momentum necessary to keep growing. Through repeated, deliberate action, your life transforms one step at a time, and motivation becomes the natural consequence of proving your capability each day.
Chapter 9. Shape your future. By upgrading one daily choice now. Every life is shaped by the decisions we make today, not by the plans we dream of for tomorrow. The truth is that your future is not something that magically appears. It is the direct outcome of the choices you make in each moment. Every day offers countless opportunities to act in ways that either move you closer to your goals or drift further from them. One of the most powerful tools you have to shape your future is upgrading just one daily choice right now. This doesn't require a massive overhaul of your life or an unrealistic commitment to perfection. It simply requires identifying one action, one decision, one habit that you can improve today, and following through with it. Choosing one daily upgrade is practical because it is manageable. Life is already filled with responsibilities, distractions, and competing priorities. Attempting to transform everything at once leads to stress, overwhelm, and inconsistency. By focusing on a single choice, you channel your energy into something achievable. This targeted effort allows you to experience immediate results and reinforces your sense of personal power. When you consistently make small upgrades, the cumulative impact is enormous. The first step in this process is awareness. You must be honest with yourself about the choices you are currently making. Which actions are supporting your growth, and which are holding you back? It requires reflection, not judgment. You examine how your current decisions influence your progress, relationships, health, and overall well-being. This awareness is the foundation for meaningful improvement, because you cannot upgrade what you do not recognize. Upgrading a choice also means acting intentionally. It's not enough to notice what needs improvement. You must take deliberate steps to change your behavior in that moment. For example, choosing to focus fully on one task instead of multitasking, deciding to listen actively in a conversation rather than speaking impulsively, or opting to invest time in learning rather than entertainment. These are small but significant actions that gradually shape your future. Consistency is what turns daily upgrades into transformation. One improved choice is beneficial, but repeated improvements create momentum. Each day you commit to a better decision, you reinforce your ability to take control of your life. You develop habits of intentionality and discipline, and over time these habits become part of your identity. You become someone who does not leave the future to chance, but actively molds it through conscious choices. The process also builds confidence. Each upgraded choice is proof that you can act in alignment with your goals. Confidence grows when you see that your actions produce results, no matter how small. This self-assurance fuels further action because you trust your judgment and capability. You start approaching each day with a mindset that prioritizes progress and possibility rather than doubt and indecision. Another important aspect is the compounding effect. One daily upgrade may seem minor in isolation, but repeated consistently, it produces significant outcomes. Choosing to read for 15 minutes, take a short walk, or prepare your day intentionally might feel small today, but months and years of repeated upgrades result in enhanced knowledge, better health, and stronger discipline. Compounding works quietly, but its impact is profound. Upgrading daily choices also enhances resilience. Life will inevitably present obstacles, distractions, and setbacks. When you practice making better decisions each day, you strengthen your ability to respond effectively rather than react impulsively. You develop a mindset that sees challenges as opportunities to exercise judgment and reinforce your personal growth. This resilience ensures that temporary difficulties do not derail your long-term trajectory. The emotional benefits of upgrading one choice daily are substantial. Each intentional decision instills a sense of accomplishment and pride. You feel capable, focused, and energized. Over time, this emotional reinforcement strengthens motivation and reduces feelings of helplessness or frustration. You gain clarity and satisfaction because your actions are aligned with your intentions. Upgrading a choice today also cultivates patience. Many people expect dramatic changes immediately and become discouraged when results are slow. Small daily improvements require time, but they also teach you to value the process. You develop an understanding that meaningful progress accumulates gradually, and patience becomes a skill that enhances every aspect of your life. Decision-making improves as a result of this practice. When you focus on upgrading one choice daily, your ability to discern what matters most becomes sharper. You learn to identify which actions will produce the greatest benefit and which are distractions. Your priorities become clearer, and your energy is directed toward what truly moves you forward. This clarity reduces wasted effort and increases efficiency in both personal and professional life. Every upgraded choice also reinforces personal accountability. You take responsibility for your outcomes because you recognize the connection between your decisions and your result. This sense of ownership builds integrity and strengthens self-discipline. You no longer wait for circumstances or other people to dictate your progress. You actively shape your future through intentional actions. Upgrading one daily choice also strengthens self-reliance. You learn that you do not need external validation or perfect conditions to take meaningful action. Growth becomes a result of your initiative. You prove to yourself repeatedly that you have the power to make choices that improve your life, and this reinforces a sense of personal agency that fuels further development. The practice encourages mindfulness. Each choice is made with awareness rather than habit or reaction. You notice the consequences of your actions and adjust accordingly. This mindfulness creates a feedback loop where every decision informs the next, leading to continual refinement of habits, behaviors, and thought patterns. Your life becomes more intentional and less reactive. Over time, upgrading daily choices reshapes your identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who acts with purpose, takes responsibility, and prioritizes growth. Your habits, your thoughts, and your behaviors begin to align with this emerging identity. The way you make decisions changes fundamentally because your perspective shifts from short-term comfort to long-term improvement. Upgraded daily choices also improve relationships. Making intentional decisions about how you communicate, listen, and act with others strengthens trust and respect. People notice consistency and reliability in your actions. This builds stronger connections and creates a supportive environment for growth, both personally and professionally. Practicality is another advantage. Choosing one action to improve each day
is realistic and manageable. It doesn't require extreme effort or sacrifice. It fits into your current routine, yet it produces measurable impact. This makes the habit sustainable, ensuring that growth is steady and long-lasting, rather than erratic or short-lived. The approach also fosters optimism. When you consistently make better choices, you begin to believe in your ability to create positive outcomes. You recognize that your future is not predetermined by circumstances, but influenced by intentional action. This optimism is motivating because it provides both hope and a practical framework for achieving goals. Every upgraded choice teaches discipline. Life will challenge your commitment, but choosing one improvement every day reinforces control over impulses and reinforces structure in your life. Discipline gained through small, daily actions compounds into the ability to handle bigger challenges effectively and consistently. This practice also strengthens foresight. By upgrading one decision today, you learn to anticipate future consequences and make better choices moving forward. You see patterns of cause and effect more clearly and can plan your actions strategically. This forward-looking approach ensures that your short-term decisions align with your long-term objectives. The benefits are not limited to personal growth. Professional life improves as well. Upgraded choices influence productivity, efficiency, and focus. They improve problem-solving skills and decision-making ability. Over time, the quality of your work and the results you produce improve significantly because small, deliberate improvements build competence. Emotional intelligence grows as you make deliberate upgrades. You become more aware of how your choices affect your emotions and the emotions of others. You develop the ability to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. This improves self-regulation, empathy, and interpersonal effectiveness, all of which contribute to long-term success. Upgrading daily choices also reduces regret. When you actively choose improvement, you eliminate the feeling of passively letting life happen. Each action is an investment in your future, and you gain satisfaction from knowing that you are responsible for shaping outcomes, rather than blaming circumstances. This sense of control is liberating and empowering. Finally, committing to this approach transforms life into a continuous journey of intentional growth. Each day becomes an opportunity to make meaningful decisions that accumulate into significant change. Every small improvement reinforces your confidence, strengthens your habits, and builds momentum. Your future is not a distant abstract concept, but a direct result of the choices you make today. By upgrading just one daily choice consistently, you gain clarity, confidence, discipline, and momentum. You create a life driven by intention rather than chance. You develop habits that support your goals, strengthen your mindset, and foster resilience. The small decision you make today shapes the trajectory of your tomorrow. Over time, these deliberate choices compound into a life of achievement, fulfillment, and purpose. Each action is proof that you are capable of creating the future you desire, one intentional decision at a time.
Chapter 10. Push your progress by giving real effort each day. Progress is not a matter of luck or waiting for the perfect conditions. It is the direct result of the effort you put in each day. Many people underestimate the power of real, deliberate effort because they are focused on results rather than the process. They wait for motivation, inspiration, or ideal circumstances. The truth is that meaningful growth is earned in the daily commitment to act with intensity, focus, and persistence. Pushing your progress requires showing up fully, giving your best in every moment, and refusing to settle for mediocrity. Effort is measurable by action. You can talk about goals, plan strategies, and dream of success, but nothing changes unless you invest your energy in doing the work. Real effort is about more than simply showing up physically. It is about bringing your full attention, discipline, and intention to every task, no matter how small or routine it may seem. Every act done with purpose contributes to your overall progress and builds momentum that carries forward into larger achievements. Giving real effort begins with prioritization. Your time and energy are limited resources, and they must be focused on actions that truly matter. You cannot push progress effectively if you scatter your energy across trivial tasks or distractions. Identify what will move you forward, commit to those actions, and refuse to compromise your attention on things that do not serve your growth. Effort becomes powerful when it is directed strategically and consistently. Consistency is the cornerstone of progress. One day of giving your full effort creates a momentary boost, but repeated effort compounds over time. The power of incremental improvement lies in its accumulation. Each day that you push yourself, you reinforce habits, build resilience, and strengthen your capability. Over time, what once seemed challenging becomes natural, and your progress accelerates because effort has become a non-negotiable part of your routine. Effort also requires self-awareness. You must know your strengths, weaknesses, and limitations to apply yourself most effectively. Real effort is not reckless energy. It is intentional, focused, and aligned with your goals. It involves asking yourself whether your actions today are moving you closer to the results you desire and adjusting as necessary. Without reflection, effort can be wasted, but with awareness, every action becomes a step forward. The mindset behind giving effort is critical. Effort is not only physical, it is mental and emotional as well. You must be willing to face discomfort, overcome resistance, and push past excuses. It is natural to feel tired, distracted, or overwhelmed, but the decision to act despite these feelings is what separates those who achieve from those who stagnate. Real effort is the commitment to move forward even when circumstances are not ideal. Effort produces results that fuel motivation. Many people believe they need motivation before taking action, but the reverse is true. Action generates evidence that you are capable, which strengthens your confidence and energizes you to continue. Each day of genuine effort proves to yourself that progress is achievable and inspires you to sustain the momentum. Motivation grows as you see tangible results from the energy you invest. Pushing your progress also requires patience. Real improvement rarely happens overnight. Some days the effort you give may feel unrewarded, and results may appear slow. But each day you apply yourself fully, you are building the foundation for long-term success. Patience allows you to trust the process, knowing that the cumulative effect of consistent effort will eventually produce outcomes beyond what seemed possible at the start. Giving effort daily strengthens resilience. Challenges, setbacks, and failures are inevitable, but sustained effort teaches you to respond with determination rather than frustration. You develop the ability to recover quickly, learn from mistakes, and continue moving forward. Resilience grows not by avoiding obstacles, but by consistently pushing through them and maintaining commitment to progress. The emotional benefits of real effort are significant. Every day that you act with full commitment brings a sense of accomplishment and self-respect. You feel capable, empowered, and engaged with your own growth. This emotional reinforcement strengthens your drive and encourages you to continue investing in yourself, creating a positive feedback loop that sustains progress. Effort also improves focus. When you commit to pushing progress, you naturally become more attentive to the actions that matter. Distractions lose power because you recognize that energy spent elsewhere is energy lost. Concentration becomes sharper, decisions become more effective, and productivity increases. The mind learns that sustained effort yields results, reinforcing the habit of intentional action. Real effort teaches accountability. When you consistently give your best, you own the outcomes, whether positive or negative. You stop blaming circumstances, luck, or other people for your progress or lack thereof. This accountability strengthens character and reinforces the principle that success is created, not granted. Each act of effort is proof that your actions determine your trajectory. Effort also shapes character. Discipline, perseverance, integrity, and commitment are all cultivated through sustained application of energy toward meaningful goals. Each day that you push yourself builds traits that cannot be learned from reading or observation alone. Character is developed in the grind, the repetition, and the decision to act fully, even when it is difficult or uncomfortable. One of the most powerful aspects of daily effort is its compounding effect. Small, consistent actions may seem insignificant in isolation, but over time, they accumulate into extraordinary results. Completing a project, mastering a skill, or improving a habit all rely on repeated application of focused effort. The key is that effort becomes habitual, and habits compound into outcomes that far exceed initial expectations. Effort also expands potential. Each time you push yourself, you discover new capabilities and strengths you didn't realize you had. You gain confidence in handling challenges, solving problems, and exceeding your previous limits. This expansion of potential creates opportunities that would not have existed without the dedication to act. Your belief in what you can achieve grows proportionally to the effort you invest. Pushing progress daily cultivates a proactive mindset. You learn to anticipate challenges, take initiative, and act before circumstances force you to. Instead of reacting passively to life, you drive your own result. This proactive stance amplifies the impact of your effort because you are not only responding to existing problems, but also creating new opportunities through consistent action. Effort also teaches adaptability. Not every plan works perfectly, and conditions are often unpredictable. By giving real effort consistently, you learn to adjust strategies, refine actions, and maintain progress despite obstacles. Flexibility becomes part of the process, ensuring that effort remains effective and that setbacks do not derail your growth. Giving full effort each day improves learning. You gain practical experience that accelerates skill development and knowledge acquisition. Mistakes become lessons rather than failures because effort ensures engagement with the task. The more energy and focus you apply, the faster you understand, adapt, and improve. Effort turns experience into mastery over time. Sustained effort also reduces regret. Many people wonder what could have been because they failed to apply themselves consistently. By giving your best each day, you eliminate doubt and create a record of intentional action. You can look back and know that you did all you could in the circumstances, which builds confidence, self-respect, and a sense of fulfillment. Effort builds momentum. Each day that you push yourself strengthens habits, improves skill, and creates a forward motion that carries into the next day. Momentum makes future effort easier because you have established routines and patterns that support growth. The energy generated by consistent application becomes a self-reinforcing cycle that propels you toward larger achievements. This process also enhances mental toughness. Facing challenges, fatigue, and distractions requires endurance. Real effort develops the ability to persist through discomfort, maintain focus, and take decisive action under pressure. Mental toughness becomes a tool that allows you to navigate complex problems and overcome obstacles with confidence and clarity. The practice of giving real effort each day transforms mindset. You stop looking for shortcuts or quick fixes. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You begin to recognize that the work itself is the source of progress, and that consistent, focused effort is non-negotiable. This mindset creates resilience, confidence, and clarity about what is required to succeed. Effort strengthens time management. When you are committed to pushing progress, you become more intentional about how you use your hours. You prioritize tasks that have meaningful impact, reduce wasted activity, and allocate resources efficiently. The ability to manage time effectively amplifies the results of your effort because it ensures that energy is directed where it matters most. Physical and mental energy also improve with consistent effort. Engaging fully in challenging tasks enhances stamina, sharpens concentration, and strengthens focus. Over time, the habit of applying yourself fully translates into improved endurance, alertness, and capacity for handling complex tasks,
creating a virtuous cycle that supports continued progress. Effort affects relationships positively. When you consistently act with intention and dedication, others notice reliability, integrity, and competence. People are more likely to trust you, collaborate with you, and respect your contribution. The energy and discipline you cultivate through effort influence the environment around you, creating support for continued growth. Finally, giving real effort daily transforms your life into a series of deliberate, purposeful actions. Progress becomes the natural result of focus, energy, and intention. Each day you act fully, you strengthen habits, character, and skills. You develop confidence, momentum, and resilience. Over time, the cumulative effect of consistent effort produces results that are far greater than the sum of individual actions. By committing to giving real effort each day, you ensure that growth is consistent, progress is measurable, and your potential is fully real. Every action, no matter how small, contributes to a larger trajectory of success. Momentum builds, habits strengthen, and confidence rises. Life becomes defined by deliberate action, intentional growth, and relentless pursuit of improvement. Each day is an opportunity to push further, do better, and create the future you desire.